Welcome to the Real Life Weight Loss Podcast, where we cut through the confusion and get down to the truth about what really works for real people when it comes to losing weight, having incredible health, and a body that you love. We believe that losing weight is really about gaining life, doing things you never thought you could, having renewed confidence, and enjoying your body more than ever. I'm your host, Corey Little. Now let's get to it. Hello, my friends. Welcome back. This is episode number 301, maybe 302. I don't know. I'm losing track. We're somewhere in the early 300s. And today I'm going to explain how you can eat whatever you want and still lose weight. And I know some of you who are longtime listeners, you're like, all right, dude, Corey, we totally know you, and you're just about to make a bunch of jokes and then explain why you really can't eat whatever you want and still lose weight. Well, shocker, okay? Get ready for this, because I'm actually not going to do that. I'm going to explain why this is actually true, why you can eat whatever you want and still lose weight. And I'm going to explain how it works and why there's truth to this statement, and then bring out some deeper truths about the whole weight loss process. But before I get into that, first, very quickly, I just want to remind everyone that I've got a lot of really cool free stuff for all of you. The simplest way to get to a lot of it is go to my website, CoreyLittleCoaching.com. But really, you can just scroll down to the show notes, and there's a few very specific things there. In honor of the 1 millionth download, the 1 millionth, download, whatever, 1 millionth listen of this podcast, I decided to give all of you amazing, wonderful people 2 free lessons from my Live Life Lose Fat course, my Live Life Lose Fat program. This is what we use inside my Inner Circle coaching group, my private coaching group, in order to lead people to just incredible results with their body. And even more, as much as losing weight physically is amazing, so many of them are like, oh my gosh, Corey, I've lost so much mental weight. Like, I feel so much lighter mentally. And going through this process has really opened my eyes to the truth about weight loss and my relationship with food and my relationship with myself. And so that's a lot of what we do. You'll get a little snippet of that in those 2 free lessons. Again, that link is down in the show notes. I also have a free menopause download. I have a ton of other free stuff. You can find links down in the show notes or at my website, CoreyLittleCoaching.com. Okay? Okay, now, let's get into the episode today, and this is a little off the cuff, so I may ramble a bit. Please forgive me. I may repeat myself. Please forgive me for that, but let's get started here. So, is it really true that you can eat whatever you want and still lose weight? Because that sounds like a marketing thing, right? It sounds like some really snazzy marketing that you would see on a Facebook ad or in some magazine. Eat whatever you want and achieve the body of your dreams. Eat whatever you want and still lose weight. Well, technically, it is true. Now, let me be very clear about something. You can lose weight. Let me rephrase it. You can lose weight eating whatever you want, but you cannot lose weight eating as much as you want of whatever you want. Aha! So there's the punchline right there, okay? So let me repeat it, just to be clear. If we simply say, eat whatever you want and lose weight, that's totally doable. That is absolutely true. But you cannot eat as much as you want of whatever you want and still lose weight. So let me break it down and explain it. I was just having a thought this morning, and I was like, someone could technically eat nothing but sugar and still lose weight. Someone could eat nothing but fat and still lose weight. Like, you can pick out any food, and you can eat nothing but, like, if you love candy, you could lose weight eating nothing but candy all day long. You could ease weight. Come on, Corey. You could lose weight eating nothing but donuts. You could lose weight eating nothing but pizza. You could lose weight eating any of your nothing. Like the only thing you're eating is your favorite food, even if it's traditionally labeled an incredibly unhealthy food. Now, please understand, I'm not saying I recommend you try this. I'm not saying that I recommend you do this, but it is possible, because at the end of the day, as many of you have heard, it's calories in versus calories out. And then, a lot of people go, oh, well, Corey, I just need to count calories. I kind of disagree, and I'm going to get into that a little bit more throughout this. But essentially, I talked about this a few episodes ago. Essentially, what we're looking at when we're looking at weight loss is tilting the balance slightly in our favor. We're looking at no pun intended, tilting the scales in our favor when we're looking at the balance between how much energy, which is calories. Calories is just a measure of energy when we look at it from a scientific perspective. So we look at how much energy we're consuming in the form of food, and then we compare that to how much energy we're using in the form of our life. And please understand, that's not just energy that you're using during exercise or during, doing housework or working in your garden or walking up and down stairs to your workplace. No, your body and brain uses a ton of energy just sitting around. Like there's a baseline of energy, of calories that you need just to live, even if you did nothing and you didn't move at all. So it's that baseline, and I probably will do an entire episode on this. It's called your RMR, your BMR, your basal metabolic rate. I'll do an entire episode on that because there are a lot of misconceptions around that. So that will be coming in the future, but understand that there's a baseline of what your body needs energy-wise, and then anything, any exertion, any exercise, any activity, any movement that you do on top of just living and existing and breathing, well, that raises your energy output, right? That increases your energy output. And so then at the end of the day, your body, I mean, it doesn't exactly happen this way, but just go along with me. It simplifies it. At the end of the day, your body's like, okay, how much do we have come in and how much do we have go out? Okay, well, we're going to stay about the same. Okay, no, well, we're going to gain around a pound. Oh, we're going to lose about a pound. And then it does this, over the course of a week and over the course of 2 weeks and over the course of a month and so forth and so on. I don't really like to use the example of a day because that's really too short term because there can be wild fluctuations based off of other things like fluid retention and sodium intake and all kinds of different things, and just temporary bump up in weight due to carbs and the water associated with them, temporary bump down like weight loss due to water loss from reducing your carbs or reducing your sodium, and that's not necessarily like what I would call real weight loss. So what we want to look at is over the course of a week and 2 weeks and a month, what is your body telling us? When you're just like you may do a budget for your family when it comes to your finances, right? When you look back over the past month, are you in the red? Are you in the black, as they say in the financial world, right? Like, are you in the red? Have you spent more money than you earned, so you're kind of going into debt, or have you earned more money than you spent, and so you have the chance to maybe save a little bit of money? Our body's the same way. It's just going, okay, when it's up, it does this more real time, but basically, okay, let's look back over the past month and okay, have we consumed more energy than we've used, or have we used more energy than we consumed? And again, this is a very simplified explanation, but I think it can help when we're thinking of this idea of eating whatever you want to lose weight and just trying to better understand the weight loss process. Because here's the thing, as all of you know, my goal, my hope, my passion is trying to help all of you to pull back the curtain on the diet industry, to demystify all this stuff and all the advertisements you see and all the crap you see and oh, this is the best way to lose weight. This is the only way to lose weight. This is the right way to lose weight. This is, blah, 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 all this stuff. There is not necessarily one singular right way or one singular best way or only one way that will work. That's just bull crap. That's total bull. There are only best practices. And what is a best practice? Well, that's the stuff that stacks the deck in your favor, essentially. So here's what I want everybody to understand. If, let's say you love sugar. A lot of people love sugar. I love sugar. We all love sugar, right? And so you could set out on a path of going, okay, I don't want to give up my sugar because I love it so much. So I just want to reduce it enough. I want to do massive, hardcore portion control. This is where portion control plays a really big role. I'm not a huge fan of portion control. That's not a method that I teach and preach necessarily for weight loss, but it has its place depending on the approach and perspective you take. But if someone says, okay, I love sugar, I don't want to give it up, it's my most favorite thing in the world, so instead of giving it up, I'm just going to work over the course of 24 hours at reducing my intake. I still get to have my sugar, but I'm just not going to eat as much, or I'm going to cut out all the other stuff. I'm going to cut out all of the protein, and I'm going to really reduce the fat intake and the complex carbohydrate intake. I'm going to reduce all these other things. Well, they're good for you. Well, I don't care. I love my sugar. I'm just going to reduce stuff enough so that my energy intake, my total calorie intake goes low enough that I can still eat as much, not as much sugar as I want. Again, that's a tricky part, right? We can't eat as much as we want. That's where things fall apart. But we can eat whatever we want and still lose weight. Okay, so I'm just going to cut out enough stuff, reduce my sugar enough, play this portion control game in order to lose weight. I don't know if it's still this way, but years and years ago, this is kind of how Weight Watchers worked. They were having people count points. It was a point system, and the points were essentially, again, to simplify things, they were basically a simplified representation of calories. So you had a set amount of points that you could use over the course of a day, and if you use that amount of points or less, well, then you're going to lose weight. If you use that amount of points or more, then you're going to gain weight. And it was manipulated. People wanted to eat whatever they wanted and still lose weight. So a lot of people would save their points up for dinner, and then they would have pizza and ice cream at dinner. Now, that still works technically. Is that the best? I don't think so. So Corey, you're being really confusing here, dude. You're telling me I can't eat whatever I want and lose weight, but yet it's not really good to do that, or I shouldn't do it. Okay, so here's the thing, my friends, all of you. My point is this. Earlier, I just said there is no one right way. There is no one best way. There is not only one way to lose weight. I stand by that. You can technically lose weight eating whatever you want as long as you have strict enough, controlled enough portions and you eliminate other stuff. The problem is we tend to not crave or really want the foods that are best for us. We tend to crave and want the stuff that's really not that helpful. We tend to want more sugar and more fat. We don't tend to want more fiber and more vegetables and more protein. And so those are the things we might reduce or cut out. And then when we have to practice this hardcore portion control while eating our very favorite foods, while eating nothing but sugar or nothing but fat or some combination of sugar and fat, that's the stuff our brain really loves. Our brain loves a combination of sugar, fat, and salt. And if you get those things together, that's basically like a salted caramel dessert, okay? So sugar, fat, and salt. When we combine these things, oh my goodness, our brain loves that, our body loves that. Oh, give me. Our body loves it in the sense of it's very dense calorically. So you're going to have to really practice hardcore portion control. Now, this is going to require tremendous discipline and tremendous willpower. And the problem is we have a finite amount of that. We only have so much willpower and so much discipline. So by taking this approach of, okay, I'm going to eat whatever I want and I'm going to do what this crazy weirdo nutrition guy with a slightly southern accent is telling me to do. I'm just going to eat whatever I want, but I'm going to do hardcore portion control. He said it's kind of like Weight Watchers, so maybe it'll work. Okay, by doing that, let me be very clear. You're stacking the deck against yourself. It's like you're playing cards, whatever game you like to play with cards, and you've stacked the deck against you, not for you. So you're going to play that hand with the worst cards possible. And there are a number of drawbacks to that. Number one, we talked about it, the willpower and discipline that's going to be required to keep that portion control. Now, here's the thing. It's not only that it's going to require tremendous willpower and discipline, but the very foods that you're eating, which for most of us, let's be really honest, it's going to be sugars and fats and salts, like I mentioned earlier. The very foods you're eating are the foods that prompt us to have more cravings and want more. Our brain literally has this short-term temporary buzz, this short-term high when we eat a bunch of, I use that term lightly, high, like this little chemical cascade of feel-good neurotransmitters and various things that are dumped into our brain. And then once these drop off after 30 minutes or an hour after eating those, our brain goes, give me more, give me more, give me more. So the very foods that we're trying to force ourselves to be incredibly disciplined with and do portion control, sorry, I'm letting my bias come through. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan. So the very foods we're trying to do portion control with and be very disciplined with are the very foods that make it so hard to do portion control and so hard to keep from eating more and more and more. So we're stacking the deck against ourselves. Not only that, we have to understand that while we technically can eat whatever we want and still lose weight, whatever our diet is composed of on a day-to-day basis is also kind of what our body will be composed of. So if you show me someone who loses 30 pounds, somehow they're successful, right? And they lose 30 pounds doing exactly what I just talked about, but their protein intake's low, their fiber intake's low, their vegetable intake is low. Of course, they're probably going to have a ton of nutrient deficiencies and, not nearly the amount of vitamins and minerals and other nutrients they need. This person, after losing 30 pounds, probably will maybe almost feel worse than they did when they started. And they're not going to have much muscle mass, and they're not setting themselves up for future success. Again, when we just look at weight loss holistically, they're stacking the deck against themselves. Is it possible to lose the weight? Yes. This person just lost 30 pounds. Now let's contrast them with someone that does something different. Let's contrast them with someone that says, okay, I'm not just going to try to grit my teeth and white knuckle it and do portion control on these foods that I so love. Instead of doing that, I'm going to strive for something more balanced, right? And I'm going to try to eat more protein and, eat more high quality foods and make sure I get all the nutrients I need and all of these things, right? at the end of a 30-pound weight loss, they're, number one, going to feel a ton better. Number two, their body's going to look very different because they've eaten different foods to get to where they are. So, to bring this full circle and to try to put a bow on it to make sense for everyone, I want to come back to the central thing I shared earlier. Regardless of what you read on social media, regardless of what you see, on advertisements on TV or in the newspaper, or I don't even know if anyone reads the newspaper anymore, the newspaper or magazines or anything, right? Regardless, I'm here to tell you the truth. There is no one single right way or best way. There are only best practices. And the best practices are the stuff that stacks the deck in your favor. Let's jump back over to the financial portion of our life, right? Everything we do in life, if you really pull back, everything we do is based off best practices. We kind of look around in the world and we go, okay, nothing's guaranteed, no matter what anyone tells you. We like to think things are guaranteed. We like to think we know the outcome, and that's just not true. We live in a world of uncertainty and volatility, and things could go this way or that way or up or down or whatever. If we think of the entire concept of retirement in the United States, I'm sure it may be this way in other countries as well. The whole concept is that every month you put aside a little bit of your money and you invest it into some asset. You invest it into the stock market or into real estate or into something else that you hope and plan will go up over the course of 15, 20, 30 years. Now, there's no guarantee that will happen, but you're basing your plan off of the best practices from what we know based off of history and research. It is no different in the weight loss world. What any nutritionist or dietitian or weight loss program worth its weight in salt will tell you and will teach you is the best practices. The best practices, which are the things that we know based off of research, based off of science, and based off of history and experience of coaching people and teaching people. The best practices are the things that stack the deck in your favor when it comes to losing weight. This is a phrase that I use all the time in my coaching group. I'm like, look, people may ask a question. Hey, could I do this instead of that? Could I tweak this a little bit here? Could I eat this instead of that? Can I wait it this time and eat it this time instead? Tons of different questions, because we don't live in a black and white world where there's only one right answer or one wrong answer. We live in a world that's totally gray, and it's beautiful, and I want to help people find their way amongst that. And so whenever they ask these questions, I say, you could, hey, let's maybe try this out if you'd like to, but everything I'm teaching you is just trying to help you stack the deck in your favor. I don't want you to have to rely totally on willpower and discipline. I want to stack the deck in your favor. So I'm teaching you the best practices. And typically those best practices are what a lot of people unfortunately think are boring, because it's stuff that you've heard and read a lot before. It's stuff like eating high quality protein and eating your vegetables and eating consistently throughout the day and not skipping breakfast. What, Corey? What about intermittent fasting? Yeah, I know all about intermittent fasting. I know a ton of people. I cannot tell you how many people come into my private coaching group, and they're like, yeah, I'm just not hungry in the morning. Like, I'm just not a breakfast kind of person. And I love these people, and they're amazing. But there's part of me that wants to say to them, and there's part of me that wants to say to you, like, how's that been working out for you? If you're struggling with weight loss, then that whole pseudo, even unintentional intermittent fasting you're doing, it's probably not working. And there's a ton of reasons why, scientific, biologically, what's going on behind the scenes in your body. And I could launch into a huge diatribe about that, but I won't do it. My point is maybe waking up and having a great high quality breakfast, within the first hour or so of our day is a really good practice that we should start doing. And so everything from having that high quality breakfast, having great high quality whole foods throughout your day, exercising on a regular basis, getting in your activity. Are there nuances and other details and other, variations amongst these things? Absolutely. Sure. But overall, these broad, boring things are the best practices. And so while technically you could eat whatever you want and lose weight, again, you cannot eat as much as you want of whatever you want. No, but you can technically eat whatever you want and lose weight. It is not something I would recommend. Instead, what I would recommend is stacking the deck in your favor. And when you do that, it works on a few different levels. You stack the deck in your favor, like physiologically, biologically, and what's going on inside your body. You also stack the deck in your favor when it comes to your mental approach and your willpower and discipline. You're not constantly relying on willpower and discipline. And it may mean that you're eating slightly different foods. It may mean that you're practicing more mental awareness and you're thinking about the process differently. But at the end of the day, if you stack the deck in your favor, Corey, if you say that one more time, I'm going to throw my phone and just never listen to this podcast again. I hope that's not the case. If you stack the deck in your favor, if you set the odds in your favor, then what does that do? That gives you the greatest chance for success. Does that mean you can't be successful with something else? Not at all. Not at all. But this gives you the best chance for success in the short term and in the long term. So I hope this has been somewhat helpful. I hope it's been eye-opening, and I hope that if nothing else, you walk away from it going, hey, there is no one right way. There is no one best way. There's just the overall broad best practices. And any diet or weight loss program or guru or weight loss expert or dietitian or nutritionist that you encounter, they have their own version of that. Unless it's something wildly odd and they're just, there's some total outlier. Unless it's that. They have their own version of the best practices. That's what I teach and preach in my Live Life Lose Fat program. That's what I teach and preach in my Inner Circle coaching group. That's what we use. That's what we do. Why? Because it works. Science tells us that. Time has told us that. Research has told us that. My 20 plus years of experience have told us that. And so regardless of what any diet or weight loss thing says to you about how their system is unique or special or will help you melt fat like butter on a hot summer day, it's just some version of the best practices. Okay, my friends, that's it. I'm wrapping up. Like I said, I hope this was helpful. I hope you'll share it with someone and that the 2 or 3 of you will discuss it. And then I hope that maybe you or them will also jump down to the show notes and take advantage of one of the free things that I have for you guys. I want to help you out as much as possible. And then I also hope that you know and that you never forget that there is so much more to you than a number on the scales. Oh my goodness, my friends. If I met you, I guarantee I would be like, wow, you're incredible. And I'm not just going to stand here and judge you based off a number. And nobody else should do that either. So you please don't do that to yourself, because there's so much more to you than that. And losing weight is great, and I want to help you lose weight. But losing weight is really about gaining life and living the life that you've always wanted to live. And I know you can do it. I know you can. Even if you've tried and failed multiple times in the past, it's okay. You keep coming back. I'll keep pumping out these episodes. I'll keep working on you, and we will get you there, my friend. Okay? Okay. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.